Christian Scott looked absolutely unhittable in his major league debut. Now he gets the Braves. What's he going to do? We're going to talk about it. This is Krusty K's from the Go Boys Network here, coming to you with the slate preview for May 11th. Want to give a shout out to our sponsor, Sleeper Picks, but we'll talk about that a little bit later. Let's hop right into this one. Our first game on the slate is the Minnesota Twins taking on the Toronto Blue Jays. This is Simeon Woods Richardson versus Kevin Gausman. And for me here, I got to roll with Minnesota. I'm not sure I'm going to back them on the money line necessarily, but I think I like some runs here from them. Over the last 2 weeks, they're really starting to swing it. WRC plus close to 130 versus right-handed pitching. And they're actually not striking out a lot at all. Sub 20% K rate over that span. And they're not chasing outside the zone, and they're become really good at hitting the fastball. So a guy like Kevin Gausman, who looks to, use his fastball to set up his splitter and kind of tunnel that pitch, I'm not sure it's going to work here because this Twins team has become really, really disciplined in terms of expanding the zone. So I like runs here, maybe a Minnesota Twins team total. If not, just taking them on the money line. Like I said, I wasn't sure. But for me here, initially, I'm going to go Minnesota Twins team total over. I just like the spot for them. In terms of strikeouts, I'm probably going to lean under on both guys' Ks, truthfully. Gausman likely probably like a 5.5, maybe even a 6.5 in some spots. I'm going to lean in the under. I know that he's kind of looked like himself lately, but I'm buying into this Twins team being as K adverse as they've looked. They've actually impressed me quite a bit here as of late. Our next one is the Arizona Diamondbacks taking on the Baltimore Orioles. This is Ryan Nelson versus John Means, and the Diamondbacks versus lefties narrative that we all thought we were going to see with Cole Irvin did not come to fruition. And truthfully, at this point, I'm not sure it's going to come to fruition here against John Means. Similar style of pitcher to Cole Irvin, but this Diamondbacks team, man, the inconsistency is just super concerning. So tough to trust them here. Against Ryan Nelson, though, I think I'm running it right back. We're going Orioles team total over. I like runs here. This Baltimore team at home is just a different animal, and Ryan Nelson just has not been good. So I expect them to get to him here, expect them to score some runs, and I'll leave it at that. I have no interest in backing the Orioles on the money line because who knows, maybe the Diamondbacks figure it out. But I know one thing's for sure, the Orioles are going to score some runs. In terms of Ks, I would look at Ryan Nelson under. This Baltimore team, they struggle with the more the power pitcher type guys, and Ryan Nelson is not that. We saw it with Brandon Pfaadt in this last game. I believe they had 0 Ks. So this is a team, like I said, they struggle with the guys, a lot of the movement type stuff, like Chris Sale, like a Dylan Cease type. But these guys, these middle of the pack kind of guys, they seem to handle them pretty well. So I'll go under Ks for Ryan Nelson and the Baltimore Orioles team total over. Our next one is the Chicago Cubs taking on the Pittsburgh Pirates. This is Justin Steele versus Paul Skeens, and this is the one that I'm sure everybody wants to talk about. There is a huge chance of rain for this one, so I'm not even sure it's going to happen. I will be tuned in if it does, because I am curious to see how Skeens does. They've kind of babied him in the minors. I believe he hasn't gone over 75 pitches yet, so I'm expecting some sort of pitch count here. It'll probably just be based on how many stressful innings he has. I think ideally in a perfect world they want him to go 5. But I don't think that it's necessarily a for sure thing that he's going 5. I think it's really just going to depend on how well he's pitching. We saw in this last game, the Cubs handled the velo from Jared Jones actually really well. They were gearing up for it, and the umpire kind of helped him a bit because he wasn't giving any of the borderline calls, so he kind of had to come into the zone a little more. But overall, they handled the high velocity really well, which is something they really struggled with for most of the season. So I'm curious to see how it plays out here with Skeens, because obviously it's a similar matchup here. Skeens obviously a bigger guy, but he's going to pump velo, he's going to pump the fastball, touch the 100 pretty much every time. And he has good off speed too, similar to Jared Jones, and I was actually incredibly surprised with how well the Cubs handled it. For me in this one, I'm looking at first 5 under. I do think Skeens can pitch well. Like I said, he's got big arm, big stuff. And then Justin Steele on the other side, I like Justin Steele. Looked really good in his first start back against the Padres, and I think that continues here. Get a Pittsburgh team that overall has just been super inconsistent, and I think Steele can navigate this lineup, especially, like I said, in the first 5. Keep this one low scoring. Expect a 1-0, 0-0 type thing after 5. I think we get there pretty easy. In terms of Ks, Skeen's line has been out for 24 hours at this point, and he's at 6.5. I have no interest in taking a 6.5 in Major League debut. Not something that I want to back or fade, truthfully, because, I mean, the guy has great stuff. I'm not going to take that away from him. But it's not something that I can get behind in terms of an over, just for a guy who I know is going to be on a pitch count and I know is making his first Major League start. So I'll probably sit back and watch and enjoy that. I do like Justin Steele's case, though. We're going to see what line we get. I'm assuming like a 4.5, maybe even a 5.5 plus money. I'd be in on that. I think Steele, he has the stuff to bother this Pittsburgh team. So I'll be curious to see what kind of line we get for him. Our next one is the Atlanta Braves taking on New York Mets. This is Max Fried versus Christian Scott. And this one is super intriguing to me because you have the Braves, who we all know is like, a prolific offense in this league. But they're scuffling right now. Over the last 2 weeks, batting average is 206 versus right-handed pitching. WRC plus below 80. So this is a tricky spot because this is a team that we all, we love to back. We love to, expect them to put up runs. And Christian Scott looked really, really good against the Rays of all teams, who've been super inconsistent and very undisciplined at the plate. But the Braves have kind of followed that, like, undisciplined. They're expanding the zone a lot of bad at-bats. So for me here, I'm going to look at Christian Scott. I'm looking at strikeouts. If we get a 4.5 again, I'd probably be in once again. I think he can cover it. I'm not sure that I trust them enough to, like, back the Mets on the money line or anything. So I'd probably go with the Braves and Max Fried because on the other side, you have the Mets, who are not hitting left-handed pitching well anymore either. To start the season, they were hitting left-handed pitching extremely well. They've cooled off drastically. Over the last 2 weeks, WRC plus is just right around 60. If you move it up and you look at like the last 2 starts they faced the lefty, it's actually below 40. So I'm just not seeing left-handed pitching well right now. Obviously a bit of familiarity with Fried here, but I just think Fried, I'm going to back him. I'm going to back the Braves to get a win here in one way or another. And I think we could see a pitcher's duel, truthfully. Like I said, you got 2 offenses which are loaded with talent, but they're just absolutely scuffling right now. And I think you're catching these teams at the right time if you're these pitchers. So give me the Braves. Give me the Braves on the money line. Christian Scott K's, and I would look at a Fried K's under, because even though the Mets aren't hitting left-handed pitching, they're not striking out a ton versus left-handed pitching either. So give me Fried under K's, Scott over his K's, and the Braves on the money line. Next one is the New York Yankees taking on the Tampa Bay Rays. Nestor Cortez versus Zach Littell. And for this one, I'm going to roll with the Rays. Give me the Rays on the money line. I like Zach Littell a lot. I think he's got great stuff. He's a product of this Tampa Bay pitching staff, and the guy is just outstanding. Limits hard contact. He pitches deep into games, does everything you want him to do. Super efficient, 9 times out of 10. I mean, he gets a Yankees team that is heating up. I will say that. But they can be had, and they can be shut down. We saw Todd Bradley come up and absolutely shut them down for 6 innings in this last game. So I like Littell to kind of keep him at bay here. And Nestor, who absolutely owned this Tampa Bay team at Yankee Stadium, I think he's going to struggle here. This is a guy who notoriously, when he's away from Yankee Stadium, he struggles. And Tampa Bay, super inconsistent. But I think seeing Nestor in a sort of a close proximity game and being at home at the Trop, I think they get it going here. So I like Tampa Bay to score some runs. I like them to get the win here. Give me Tampa Bay on the money line. In terms of strikeouts, don't love either guy. Yankees overall been pretty K-adverse. If we get a nice line for Littell, like a 4.5, I could be in just because he's probably going to go 6 innings. And to expect 5 Ks in 6 innings against this Yankees team, there are some guys who do strike out, like Judge, Stanton. Even Verdugo's been having an issue lately, which kind of surprised me. So give me the Rays on the money line. Our next one is the Philadelphia Phillies taking on Miami Marlins. This is Taijuan Walker. And currently, the Marlins have not decided what pitcher they're throwing out there. I believe this is the Sixto Sanchez spot, which obviously he's not been good, so I don't anticipate him going here. I'll be curious to see who they put out here. So don't have a ton for this one. Taijuan Walker's been serviceable. Not a guy that I love to back. Tough to trust the Marlins to put up runs, though, truthfully, because the offense is just super inconsistent. So without knowing a pitcher, it's tough to say what I would take here. But I'm going to look at just probably a Phillies team total, because whoever they're going to put out, just based on the prospects they have available, it's not going to be anybody special. Or if they opt for a bullpen game, this Miami Marlins bullpen is absolutely terrible. So without knowing who it is, like I said, I'm going to be a little reluctant to give something out. But Phillies team total, I think it's to be a great look regardless of who pitches. This Phillies team is just hot. And I think they're rolling, and they're going to get another good spot here to put up some runs. So give me the Phillies team total. In terms of Taijuan Walker, small lean was under strikeouts. He's probably going to pitch like super deep into this game just because the Marlins are not really a threat offensively. So depending on what the line is, obviously, I would lean to the under. If you get like a 4.5, I'd probably be on the under. Anything lower than that, I'd probably stay away. Because when you're going 6, possibly even 7 innings, and your line's at 3.5, there's a good chance you're getting 4 Ks, regardless if you're actually a strikeout guy or not. So under on a 4.5 if we get it. If not, pass. Our next one is the Washington Nationals taking on the Boston Red Sox. Jake Irvin versus Cooper Criswell. Criswell hasn't been bad. Definitely not been bad. Kind of filling in like that opener / starter role. Doesn't go super deep into games, but kind of just goes like if he's pitching well, they'll let him keep going. Jake Irvin has actually looked pretty good for the Nationals, not gonna lie. Definitely one of their most consistent starters this season. I'm gonna roll Boston though. Washington got the best of Boston in this first game. Tanner Huck, he pitched well, just not well enough to win. And Boston got shut down by Patrick Cord of all people. So Jake Irvin here, he's a righty. Gets a Boston team who is crushing right-handed pitching, second in batting average, third in WRC plus over the last 2 weeks. I expect those bats to wake up a little bit here. I do think Criswell can pitch well enough against this Nationals team who is not hitting well right now. And then when they turn over to the bullpen, likely like Winkowski or something like that, one of their long relief guys, definitely good enough to hold this Washington team in check. So give me Boston on the money line. In terms of like Ks, no real interest in either side for me here, over or under. Next one is the Houston Astros taking on the Detroit Tigers. This is Christian Javier versus Tariq Skubal. This is a super interesting matchup to me. So Houston, by rule, super K adverse for lefties. Their last game against Carlos Rodon, they looked absolutely helpless against the fastball. I don't know why, but they looked completely lost. So for me here, you got Skubal, obviously a higher velo guy, great off-speed stuff, facing an Astros team that does hit left-handed pitching well. So I don't want to say I expect him to struggle, but I could see him get up a run or two. On the other side, Christian Javier, I expect him to pitch well here. This Tigers team on the season against righties, very, very league average. They are much better against lefties, so unfortunately for them here, they're going to see Javier, hard-throwing righty. Probably not going to pitch super deep into this game, probably like 5 innings and that's it. But I like him to pitch well here. I like the first 5 under. It's a little scary, like I said, because you have Houston, who's top 5 hitting lefties in baseball right now. But I just think Skubal has the stuff, and he's at home, and I think he could pitch well enough here to shut down this Astros team, at least for the first 5. I don't love, my analytic brain tells me that Tariq Skubal under Ks is the move, but after watching the Rodon game, I have a hard time pushing that button. So I'm going to see what the line opens at, and I'm going to see what the lineup looks like, and we're going to go from there. If you're getting guys like Jake Myers and what's the other guy, Singleton, I think you got to look at the over. Because these are guys that he's going to see probably 2, maybe even 3 times, and they're high K guys. And although Skubal struggles to strike out lefties, guys like Jordan have really struggled. He's going to play most likely, he plays every day, but he's actually really struggled against left-handed pitching in terms of Ks this season. So depending on the lineup, I'd be on Skubal over his Ks or under the Ks. Like I said, it really depends on the lineup. But give me the first 5 under here.
Wait, before we get back to the picks, I wanted to thank you all for watching. Friends don't let friends watch videos without hitting the like button. So go ahead and press the thumbs up button and like the video. If you're new here and not subscribed, you should go ahead and do so because we're dropping new content each and every day on the Gold Boys Network. We strive to cover every sport and give out picks and analysis and valuable information for free on the Gold Boys Network. So make sure you're subscribed and hit the bell so you can get notified when we drop something new. I'm Brad Thomas. Let's get back to the picks.
Our next one is the Chicago White Sox taking on the Cleveland Guardians. This is Tristan McKenzie versus Mike Clevenger. Give me the over. McKenzie has looked a little better, but I don't like him in this spot against the White Sox. They're scrappy, they're scuffling, all at the same time. They are a tricky team to figure out. But one thing I will say is they're doing a really good job of putting the ball in play overall. And I just think against McKenzie, who heavily reliant on a it's 2-pitch mix really, fastball, curveball, and the fastball is not great. I think they can get to him here. Clevenger looked absolutely terrible in the 2-ish innings he threw for the White Sox, and I'm expecting him to be still somewhat limited here, and I'm expecting him to struggle, truthfully. This is just not a good matchup for him. Cleveland, bats have been kind of cold. I think it's a great spot for him to wake up. So give me the over. I think we see runs. I think both these guys definitely hit around. And if we get into the White Sox bullpen, it's really just the cherry on top because the White Sox bullpen is terrible. So I like runs here. No real interest in K's from either side. Maybe a small lean to McKenzie and Clevenger under, just because I think they get hit around quite a bit here and give quite a bit of hard contact. But don't love it. Our next one is the Cincinnati Reds taking on San Francisco Giants. And for me here, you got to give me Nick Lodolo K's. This is the Giants team that on paper, league average in K percent for lefties. But you look at the lefties they faced, and it's just not a list of who's who. So for me here, you get a team that I think is just going to be completely overmatched by this pitch mix from Lodolo. If you ever watch him pitch, he gets more swings and misses on balls that are behind hitters than you've probably ever seen. This back foot slider that he throws is absolutely ridiculous. Mason Black, I actually think he can pitch well here. He has some decent stuff. I think the first matchup was just really tough going against the Phillies. So I like him here. I like his strikeouts here, truthfully. This Reds team just not good against these guys who have a little bit of velo and some decent off speed. So I think Black, I'm likely going to be a 4.5. I think he can go over as well. But in terms of the side, I'm going to roll with the Reds. Their offense is brutal, and I hate it. But I just think Lodolo is just so good, and I think he's going to dominate this inferior Giants lineup, truthfully. You look at that lineup top to bottom, and there's not a single guy in that lineup who, in my opinion, scares you. So for me, Lodolo goes out there and he absolutely shoves. Going to be probably a gross one, probably a 1-0, 2-0, something like that, because I don't really see any offense coming from either team here. But I like the Reds to get it done. Give me the Reds. Give me Lodolo. Our next one is the St. Louis Cardinals taking on the Milwaukee Brewers. It's Kyle Gibson versus Freddie Peralta. Peralta, he had his 5-game suspension, so he only got pushed back a day. Obviously going to be good to go, full go. This is a matchup that we recently saw, though. He pitched pretty well against the Cardinals. That was the game that he pitched really well. They led the game, I believe it was 1-0 or 2-0. Bullpen blew it, and then they ended up winning it in the 10th. So I like Peralta to pitch well here once again. Probably a Milwaukee PPD for me. I'm not going to like Peralta, whatever his K line is. I'm sure it's going to be 7.5. But 6 and a win, I'm sure the money line's going to be pretty close to playable by itself. But I like the 6 and a win. You likely get plus money with that, and I think it's a great spot. I love Peralta, probably one of my favorite pitchers in the league. And at home, the guy's just a different animal. We've seen it. The ERA is considerably lower. Strikeout stuff goes up, and this Cardinals team just overall not hitting well. So I'll take the Brewers, who are hitting right-handed pitching extremely well, WRC plus of 120 over the last 2 weeks, to get to Kyle Gibson, and I'll take Freddie to deal, give me 6 Ks, and go about my day. So Freddie Peralta, 6 Ks and a win. That's where I'm rolling with this one. Our next one is the Texas Rangers taking on the Colorado Rockies. This is Andrew Heaney versus Ryan Feltner. This is super interesting. Andrew Heaney, as we all know, kind of an awkward sidearm delivery, fastball slider. I don't know how well it's going to play at Coors. So I wish the Rockies were better, because I would think that this would be a smash over spot. But I am terrified they don't put up any runs. But that's the way I'm going to go. The over the 10.5, it's the highest total we've seen in a Rockies game. Probably a week, truthfully. They've actually been under 10 pretty consistently here. So the 10.5, I feel like it's a little indicative of what they believe is going to happen here. And it's what I want to believe is going to happen here. This Colorado Rockies team definitely not hitting the ball well, but I think Heaney could solve that for him. And on the other side, Ryan Feltner, that man is gasoline on an open fire. So give me runs. I love offense here. I love Texas to get it going. If you want to isolate it and go to Rangers team total, I think that's a great look as well. But I do think we see runs. I think Heaney gets touched up. I think we're going to see runs for both sides. I think this thing soars. I'm thinking 15 total runs, maybe even more. In terms of Ks, no interest on either side. Small lean to the under on Feltner. Don't want to go under or over on Heaney, truthfully. Yeah, give me over. Give me over. Give me runs. What's going on, everybody? I just want to take this moment to give a special shout out to our sponsor, Sleeper Picks. Thank you for sponsoring this video, and don't forget you can use code GOLDBOYS for a $500 deposit match on your first deposit. Thank you, Sleeper Picks, for sponsoring this video. Now back to the bets. The next one is the Los Angeles Dodgers taking on San Diego Padres. This is James Paxton versus Matt Waldron. Looks like an easy over to me, and I don't like that it looks so easy. Total's at 8.5, and it just feels kind of low, truthfully, with these two pitchers on the mound. I'm gonna roll Dodgers team total. So Waldron, knuckleballer, not great secondary stuff, like a sinker right around like 91, 92, and a sweeper that he doesn't have a ton of command over. Against this patient Dodgers team, like we talked about, lowest chase rate in all baseball. I think we're gonna see a lot of base runners, and with base runners, we know what the Dodgers do. They score runs. So I like the Dodgers team total here. I couldn't talk anybody off the full game over. I just hate that it looks so easy. Paxton, not great. We've seen it. He's looked a little better as of late. I mean, I say that very loosely, but I'm going to isolate it to the Dodgers. I think the Dodgers put up, 5, 6, maybe even more against Waldron here. In terms of Ks, I lean under on both. I think both these teams are going to get the bats going. You get a Padres team who overall super K adverse versus lefties. And then Waldron, I just don't think he has the stuff to strike out this Dodgers team, truthfully. The knuckleball might get, some of these guys at the bottom of the order. He might get Outman once or something. But overall, I think this Dodgers team is going to absolutely tee off on him. The next one is Kansas City Royals taking on the Los Angeles Angels. It's Cole Reagans versus Tyler Anderson. My favorite look in this one is probably going to be Cole Reagans' outs. I like him to go deep in here. This one, I like him to go probably 6 innings. I'm sure it'll be 17.5. Might be a little bit of juice, so you might have to pair it with something, but I think his outs are a great look here. In terms of the Ks, I couldn't talk anybody off that either. Curious what the line's going to open at. This Angels team, on paper, pretty K adverse for lefties, but again, this is one of those teams who just hasn't seen a lot of good lefties. So I think Reagans can dominate here. This is a good spot for him, in my opinion. On the other side, Tyler Anderson, obviously, we know what you're going to get. He's going to give you 6 innings. That's for sure. Command is always a little suspect. He's going to do that goofy leg thing, where he tries to mess up your timing. Might get a few extra strikeouts on that. But overall, great. The big thing here, though, is the Royals not really hitting lefties well. They are below league average the last 2 weeks, below league average on the season. So if I had to lean anywhere, it's going to be to the under, likely in the first 5. I always prefer backing unders in the first 5 because I like to trust the starters. Full game unders to me are just always like an unnecessary sweat because once you get to the bullpens, especially for some of these teams that don't have good bullpens, you're just playing with fire at that point. So give me the first 5 under. Give me Cole Reagans' outs. I think he goes deep here. I think both these guys pitch pretty well. And our last one is the Oakland Athletics taking on the Seattle Mariners. It's Alex Wood versus Bryce Miller. And I'm going to look at both guys' strikeouts to go over. Seattle, 30% K rate versus lefties over the last 2 weeks. Alex Wood, not great, but he throws a changeup. He got a little bit of goofy off-speed, goofy delivery. I think he can cover his line. It's likely to be like a 3.5, maybe even a 4.5 plus money. I think he can get there. He's been pitched a lot better as of late. Definitely looks more serviceable than he has when the season started. So I think he can pitch well. Like I said, I like his Ks here. Bryce Miller on the other side, been outstanding as well. I like his case here as well. In terms of a side, small lead to Seattle. I don't love it. I don't love backing their offense. They're super inconsistent to me. And it's like, one game they look like world beaters. The next game they look like they can't hit anything. So super small lean to Seattle. If anything, I'd be backing them because I like Bryce Miller. I think he pitches really well here. But overall, like I said, I like both pitchers to pitch, relatively deep into this game. So don't love Seattle here, but that's where I'd go if I had to pick a side. That does conclude our slate, though. If you guys do me a favor, drop a like, drop a comment. Let me know what you guys are playing. As always, you can get all my plays at goldboys.com. If you have a gambling problem, don't 100 gambler. Thank you, guys.